Hey friends, my name is Damian Kane Rigdon, and I'm the art director for the upcoming animated short called Life of the Wolf. I'm going to be bringing you along on this journey, talking about our process and everything it's going to take to pull this together. We're very early on, but what we've decided so far is that we're going to make all of the art for this production using printmaking. So today I'm going to give you a little rundown of how pulling a print works and everything that's involved, so you can see what we're dealing with. All right, let's get to this. All right, here is my printmaking table. I've got my brayer here for rolling the ink onto the block. This is a block for our first character study. I've already pulled a couple prints from this, so it's a little dark from the ink that was on it. Here's my oil-based etching ink, paint thinner, my palette, and my palette knives. But the first thing we need to do is get some printmaking paper. I've got a pack right here. So we're gonna start by tearing up the paper. So I'm going to pull this out here, and then we're going to go over and we're going to tear this paper up so that we can print with it. All right. All right, so I've got my paper here. The first thing I'm going to do is mark off how big the sheets are. Now the print that I'm pulling is 6x9, so I'm going to be ripping up here 7 by 10 inch sheets of paper. Now typically in printmaking you go for the raw edge, so printmaking paper is ripped rather than cut, and it gives it a very nice like handmade feel. So I've marked off my 7-inch markers. And I'm going to use this big ruler to tear up the paper, and I just line it up like here, and I rip it, and it gives you a nice raw edge. So I'm doing this on the floor because my desk is a little bit of a mess right now, but they say that an empty desk is the sign of an empty mind, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, I've already pulled a set of these prints before, but what I'm doing right now is I'm going to pull another set so that I can give some of these out to our first couple Instagram followers. So this project is going to take a lot of prints. There's going to be so much art involved in making this, so our plan is to give out, a bunch of art to our followers, and for, thanking them for coming along on this journey with us. So I appreciate you all coming along and watching our first video as we get underway in creating this animated short that we're so excited to share with you. So now I'm cutting my, measuring out my 10-inch lines here, and I can just go ahead and tear these like this. And I'm going to do that. All right, and so as you can see right here, we have these nice raw edged pieces of printmaking paper for pulling our prints, and it'll give it that nice handmade feel. All right, meet me at the print table. All right, the next step of this journey is to mix up the ink. So I've got my etching ink here. I prefer oil-based inks because I think they set a little nicer, and especially for this project where I think we're going to be coloring these with watercolors, so that, you know, if we were using water-based inks, then the watercolors might make it run. So these will stay nice and fast and not be affected by the watercolors after. So I've got my ink here. Now for printmaking, ink right out of the bottle is way too thick. So what you have to do is put a little bit of paint thinner down and mix it up till you get the right consistency. Oh, my turpentine is stuck. All right, that's fun. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna put a little bit of turpentine down. All right, that was maybe a little too much, so I'm gonna dab it here with a paper towel. All right, and now I mix this up. And so you can see it's like going from this really thick kind of ink to something a little easier to manipulate with my palette knife here. So after I get this mixed up, kind of make like a little pool here, put some down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the brayer, so you can tell when you kind of do printmaking for a while that you've got ink at the right consistency, because it makes this kind of like high-pitched, like static noise, and you can kind of go by you know, the sound of the ink as you're rolling it on the brayer, and kind of tell that it's the right consistency, the right viscosity. All right, so now we ink up our block here. When you ink up a block for the first time, it's you know, much more visible, but this has been used before, so the block is already kind of dark. So you know, it's a little harder to see the ink going on. But basically for block printmaking, you have a block and you carve away some of the block, and so you're left with all these like raised areas, and the raised areas are what you roll the ink onto, and then you send it through a press with a piece of paper, and all those raised areas you know, press onto the paper. So first time you ink up a block during a printmaking session, you have to go over it a few times to really make sure that there's like ink on every surface and that it'll transfer. All right, so now we've got ink on the block, we've got our paper. Meet me over at the press. All right, so we've got our press here. Typically the first thing you do is set the pressure by changing the height between the roller and the block, and you want it so that the block can fit through there nicely and put enough pressure on the paper so the image transfers over. Now this is my second time printing this block, so it's already set to the right pressure, so I can just go ahead here, put my block down of our character on the press, carefully take a piece of paper, trying not to smudge. Sometimes you get like a little smudge, but you just do your best here. And as you're pushing the block through, you spin the handle so that it grips with minimal smudging. You go through at a, you know, kind of even, slow speed. And then once it's through, you take it out the other side, lift off your print, and here we go. Here's our print, and that's the process. All right, so here's all my prints. This includes some of the ones that I pulled last time, including the one that I've watercolored as our first test for the character study. So yeah, this is the printmaking procedure that we're going to use for every piece of art that we make for this feature. So I hope you enjoyed learning about this process, and it gives you an idea of what we're going to do as we go along on this journey. All right, thanks for stopping by today and watching this video. I hope you enjoyed learning about our process and everything we're going to go through to make this animated short for you. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We are at Life of the Wolf on YouTube and at Life of the Wolf Movie on Instagram, and that's where we're going to be updating all of our followers as we go along on this journey. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.